So, are you happy?
I am very happy.
Can you tell me, have you been happy all your life?
No, but it was kind of off and on depending on circumstances. Now it doesn't depend on circumstances.
Yes.
It depends on a relationship I have.
Wow.
And that's with one who's real, forever real, and his name is Jesus. And now I teach in Bible schools around the world, and I live in Honduras. And I come back to Iowa to see family and friends, and nice people like you.
Oh, good. So okay, before you, was this a sudden conversion to Jesus or something that grew or what?
No, as a little child, I had a friendship with him. But then we go our own way and we do our own thing and we think we can get by, and then we kind of come up against a brick wall. Can be relationships, can be health, can be wrong decisions we made, whatever. And then, so then I went back to what was rooted in me. It doesn't have to be, but for me it was. But I try to help people know that, hey, we can have blown it really bad, but you're looking at me, I blew it really bad, and today I'm full of life, and I keep getting refired and refueled and happy.
And how does that refueling take place?
Oh, wow. Well, because I had a rooting in Christianity and a relationship with the person. I mean, there's religion, there's relationship, they're very different. This is relationship with one living, and I went back to what I knew, and then reconnected, really. He'd never left me. I kind of wandered away and did my own little thing, but then I came back to that rootedness, him, and he just guided my steps, and it just gets better and better, and I'm just now 73.
Oh, that's great.
In the natural. But, of course, that's circumstance, and I don't live out of that.
I see. And I'm specifically asking for a mechanism. Let's say something bad happens, or for some reason you get up on the wrong side of the bed. What is the actual mechanism? What do you actually do? In other words, in what sense do you speak to him, or what do you do? What happens then?
Okay, yeah, if I wake up out of a bad dream, Jesus, thank you for this new day. That wasn't me, that wasn't real, you are, and I thank you I connect with you, and I walk now with you as I get out of bed, and I may not verbally say all that, but that's what's in my mind. But sometimes I have to say his name. And it's like when somebody the circumstances are so awful, and the pressures are so terrible, but we can always say one 5-letter word name, and that's Jesus. And there's a lot of us that had some grounding. We were churched throughout our lives, but many people throughout the world never have been. But if we just, in a crisis, if we say that name, because he's real, he'll be there.
Now,
with hope and help.
Here's kind of a devil's advocate thing, literally.
Yeah.
What about a person who is just a male and he's fixing his car and something goes wrong? He goes, "Oh, Jesus!" Right? Now that didn't. And what happens? What's the difference?
Okay, all right. That was out of a that was really a profanity, a perversion of his name, and there are other Jesus. The Bible talks about another Jesus. So that wasn't the helper Jesus. That was a word of really perverted speech, because he smashed his finger.
Oh, I see.
So in my opinion this is opinion, is that the helper won't be there unless he goes like, "Oh, Jesus."
I see.
There was a shift, you even heard
unless
it.
he deeply asks. Is that correct? Unless he deeply asks.
Oh no! If he shifts from the first reaction, which was basically could have let anything come out of his mouth, but he's used that word. But then because of the pain, and maybe he's even got his hand caught, then out of the desperation, then he'll say, "Jesus," there been a shift from a perversion of the use of the name to a cry to the person, Jesus, and then the helpers there.
I see.
The Bible talks about angels that are assigned to help us. People talk about all the time about some stranger they didn't see before or after. Maybe it was even headlights in the midst of a blizzard and they disappeared. Well, angelic, there's all kinds of stories about that. But we have angelic helpers. But they stand like sentries waiting for instructions.
So are you saying that if a person who watches this video, right, and then they have a problem, and as sincerely as they can, they call on Jesus,
Oh, yes.
Is it always going to fix the problem?
It won't always fix the problem. No. But it will put in motion what could fix the problem. But many things that may happen afterward, because there's all kind of ripples. And what we speak is creative, just like God spoke, Genesis chapter 1, and this was created, this was created, this was created, and then God said, and we'll make man, male, female, in our image and likeness. So when we speak, we create. We create blessing, cursing, life, death, hope, defeat, etc., etc., etc. So we can speak something that will put in motion a process that could help us. But then fear hits us. Then what comes out of our mouth? All the other things which put in motion things that could defeat the very
But
help.
how can you defeat Jesus?
You can't defeat him.
Then
I'm
if
saying
you say
circumstances.
His name, if you say his name once as innocently and as deeply as you can, how come he doesn't take into account your actual psychology, which is of course going to doubt it later?
All right, because he's in heaven, he's seated there. He put creation. I mean, he came, he died, and he went to heaven. He left us in charge of the earth. That's why people say, God, why don't you do something? God, help me. Well, we're here. Are we helping? Are we making things better? Or are we making things worse? We'll make things better by our choices. Are they greed and perverse? Or are they helpful and life-giving to other people? That's the story of our government. It's the story of our own lives. It's the story of the world's. We've got wars. We've got ... and we're all aware of it all. But he is dependent now on us, because he said before he went, he said, I leave you to go do what I did while I was on earth.
Yeah, but in a sense, aren't you not answering the... Go ahead, if you want to get by. You intimated that if a person calls on Jesus,
Yes.
right, things will change. And then you said, no, it's our responsibility.
Okay.
Now, what's the difference?
Okay, there's no difference. He will help us. His name puts angelic influence into the situation. His name, in my name. He said, use my name, and you will change circumstances in my name. So we use his name. We're calling him. We're calling him into the situation through the use of his name. Okay, it may seem like it's contradictory, but it really isn't, because if we read in Mark, the very last words he said, in my name, you will do these things. I think it's also in Matthew. So the responsibility still comes back on us, who would be his followers, who would, by the use of the guidebook, come to know more and more and more how to use the authority he gave us, just like the very early church. They're in Jerusalem, they're at the temple, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit falls on them, and they get the power he said they'd get. And then Peter, who was the one that denied him 3 times, who's the one that, and they all ran in fear away. Okay, it's Peter that stands there boldly in front of all these people that killed Jesus even, who started preaching to them. boldly, and nobody put a finger on any of them. In fact, that very day, 3,000 people came to say, okay, well, maybe we got it wrong. We need help. We all need help. Let's start. And things happen, revolutionary. But we also have to remember we have an enemy. Because in the garden, we know what happened to Adam and Eve. And it's not just a fable, it's reality. We have an enemy. So there's a battle in the spirit realm. There's the battle of truth. There's the battle of life. That's God's kingdom. And then there's the other side of it, and that's the king of this world. That's Satan by name. And some of you, oh, he's not real. It's just a fable. No. The war of the heavenlies, the battle of the heavenlies is real. Daniel talks about it.
All right. Now, I have to
Yes.
keep it a little short, so I'm going to stop
Okay.
you there and then go
Yes.
back to another same
Okay.
question. And that is that, let's say you really feel that you're in trouble, right? But you've never had any religious training, and in a sense you don't really care about religion.
Yes.
And you watch this video, and so you
Yes.
say, okay, I'm going to say the name Jesus, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, what percentage of the following actions that happen from the heavens or whatever are dependent upon your faith, or how much magic is there?
Okay, there's no magic.
Okay.
It's all dependent on, and you can't say, oh, I think I'll try that. Well, maybe that'll work if I just try
Yeah, but
that.
if you've never had any
experience,
then
okay,
you don't.
no.
You're not filled with this angst and this deep
No.
longing for Jesus because you don't know him.
You don't know
So you just try. Okay, I'll just say the word Jesus, and then I'll have as much faith as I can, and that's innocent. I mean, you can't be judged for not having more faith because you didn't grow up.
Didn't know. Okay, if we can go to for this person who's watching this, if we can go like to the primitive peoples, where someone comes and begins in another nation, never heard anything that I'm saying, and you tell them the story, but then you demonstrate it to them, because the Bible talks about demonstrating. They have a wound or a fracture, or they're lame, and they get a healing from that, and they'll want to hear then what you have to say, because that was real.
Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about like a person kind of in a vacuum, who basically decides to give it a shot. He or she says the word Jesus, and as much as she can means it, and then goes along and then goes on with her life.
Okay. If they're in a desperate situation, and they really out of a heart say, I'm at the wall, just like this lady is talking about, like she has been. I'm at the wall. Boy, the drugs, the stuff. Oh, maybe. Oh, I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's real.
Oh, I know.
Jesus.
Yeah, at that point, there's a deeply felt thing.
Exactly.
But I'm just talking about something that you're kind of advising, where you basically say, if you're in trouble, say the word Jesus. Or, and I'm assuming that the people hear this will give that a shot innocently.
Yeah.
And they're not at that bottom state. And are you saying they're lost if they're not at the bottom state?
Okay.
You have to absolutely give your whole soul, or else
No.
it doesn't work?
No. Well, I think there has to be an earnestness. It has to be real. It can't be a game. Because lots of people, and here especially in our culture, we're intellectuals, we're highly educated, and if it's just a game, oh, maybe I'll try this, I'll see, maybe if this lady's for real, I'll try it. But there has to be, at some point, it's not a game anymore. There has to be some kind of the seeking has gone on, maybe seeking in all kinds of directions. I mean, there's lots of directions to seek. And we are all seekers, and there's a vacuum in all of us. We're hunting for something real. If this is real, I want it. Okay? Jesus, if you're real, I want you. I want you to guide me. I want you to show me if you're real. And then they go on. I believe, they will begin, if that was really heartfelt, they'll begin to see something happening. There's a shift. That's what I believe.
Very good. So just for fun, would you like to say your name and how people can contact
sure.
you if they'd like to, or what your circumstances are?
Okay. Well, my name is Joanne. I'm not so sure I want to give
It doesn't
all
matter. I
the
don't really care because
details. I think it's best
Yeah.
I just say my name is Joanne, and I just bless everybody in the name of Jesus who watches this. And if you want more information, I pray you'll be in the right place at the right moment to get it from the right person.
That's great. Thank you very much. God bless you.
God bless you.